Hi everyone. So this is math lesson 17. It's Tuesday, April 7th lesson. And it's actually a pretty easy one. I'm glad that since we're not in school that we seem to be getting lessons that are a little bit easier to understand than what we've been doing the beginning of the year. So this is packet page 174. And 175. We'll do both packet pages today. So those two pages. We're going to start by just reviewing. Yesterday we talked about the fact that a ruler can have both inches and centimeters on it. We looked at remembering that when we measure an object, we have to put it and line it up with the 0 before we give the exact length of that. I think those were our two major points yesterday. So today we're just going to kind of carry that over. They're going to start today comparing using those 1 inch or 1 centimeter tiles to a ruler. And they're going to ask you questions like, which would be easier to use? Is it easier to take 12 1 inch centimeter tiles and line them up underneath one by one, or is it easier to just take a ruler, put it along this paper and measure it? I know what I think, but I'm curious as to what you think. How would you do it? So today's lesson, I'm looking at packet page 174 first. It says Erin wants to measure the length of a sheet of notebook paper, and it wants to know the length in inches. And remember, when you're using a ruler, it can have both inches and centimeters on the ruler, so you're really going to have to pay close attention when you're measuring. This particular one is asking for inches, so make sure that ruler is on the inches side so that you can get the correct answer. So the first thing on the measure it, it says that you can use the 1 inch tiles. Now, it says over here that these are not true to size. They're just kind of showing you. These are not 1 inch if you measure them. But what they're showing you is you can take 12 of those tiles. You can measure those. Okay. Actually, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess it's actually 11 of those tiles. You can take 11 of those tiles and put them together. They're not overlapping, but they are touching to get the length of them as long as the tiles are 1 inch. You can do that, or it says you can just take a ruler and lay it underneath and get the same answer. Which do you think is easier to do? Okay, so that's the front of the page, and it doesn't even ask you to write anything down. The second part then, it's the connect it. That means it's going to take what we've learned so far and we're going to put it to use. It says you're going to use the models to solve the problem. Remember, the models are here. These two, these are going to be our models. We're going to use those two to solve our problem. It says look at the first, measure it. That's on the other page. How many inch tiles are used? And I think I counted and already gave you the answer, but go back and count for yourself if you don't remember. Number 3, look at the second, measure it. Okay, that's where they use the ruler instead of the tiles. And it says, what's the length of the paper? Don't just give me a number. Give me a number and inches or centimeters. Number 4, do you think? Now this is a do you think question. So as long as you give a good reason, people can't count it wrong. I can't count it wrong. The people looking at your 3rd grade reading math or your 3rd grade math test can't count it wrong as long as you give a good answer. Do you think it's easier to measure with tiles or a ruler? So you'll say, I think it's easier to use tiles, or I think it's easier to use a ruler. And then you have to explain. That's the word that we all love. Explain means you have to add because. Okay, so tell me why you think it's easier to measure using tiles, or tell me why you think it's easier to measure using a ruler. So 2 things. You have to tell me whether you think tiles or a ruler is easier, and then you have to tell me why. Number 5 is your talk about it. This is your talk with your table problem. So you'll have to talk to somebody. I think I told you you could use stuffed animals or whatever you need to use. It says, would the length of the paper be the same if you measured using a yardstick? Why or why not? Now here's some little hints that I can give you. Remember, yesterday we talked about a yardstick. A yardstick is 3 feet or 36 inches. Inches is the key word here. A yardstick and inches go together. A meter stick equals 100 centimeters. So meter and centimeters go together. Might want to use that information when you're writing. Okay? And then try it means you get to try it on your own. It says measure the key using centimeters. Look at the centimeter tiles. Okay, how many centimeters? And then measure using rulers. See how they start at the 0? And how many centimeters is that? You should find that that's pretty easy. If I'm going too fast, remember that you can stop the video and kind of catch up. I'm going to go then to your homework page, which is page 193. And then we'll go to page 194 after that. So we have this example of a leaf. We're measuring it in centimeter tiles, and our ruler says centimeters. That's important. It says Hal used 1 centimeter tiles to measure this craft stick. How long is it? So you'll need to count and tell me how many centimeters. And then Beth measured the shell using a centimeter ruler. It says centimeter right there. You can tell me how many centimeters, and it also gave you the unit, which is nice. You don't have to remember. Number 4, Marty measured this marker using 1 inch. So we've switched from centimeters to inches. 1 inch tiles. How many inches? Tony measured the spoon using a centimeter. So now they've switched from inches back to centimeters. What's the length of the spoon? And you can write your answer here. And then number 5 has 3 lines. That means you're going to have to do some writing. If you could measure something using a centimeter ruler or centimeter tiles, so if you could choose a ruler or tiles, which would you choose and why? Okay, so you have to tell me which one and why you're going to choose it. Very similar to your packet page question. So think about those. Write down your answers. If you could send me a picture of the front and back of only your homework, you don't have to send the packet pages. Get those pictures to me on Seesaw. Use your camera, take a picture and download those on Seesaw. Share them with me. I would love to see the work you're doing. I miss you. I hope you have a great day.